What's going on, everybody? This is Mattdoesfitness and Rabbit Hutch Salesman. They'll give you a run for your money. Hello, welcome to my Throwback Thursday, episode 12. That requires 3 hands, which I don't have. I was going to employ a young Mexican child just to come and put his hand up on the screen, but he wasn't really up for it and didn't really like his hand, so didn't happen. Anyway, this is a particularly exciting episode. Just thought I'd say that because I say it every time. Just another episode, really. Now, the reason I made it is for 2 reasons. There's 2 main reasons. First things first. I, particularly on YouTube and in the whole fitness kind of world community, I hear people talking about measurements all the time. Not in a weird way. I'm talking like arm measurements, maybe like thigh measurements. All the time it comes up. Waist measurements, etc. And it is used sometimes, or a lot of the time, as a means of comparison. Now, I have a pretty major issue with this. That you obviously, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I don't want me giving it away, but it really irritates me. It's one of my kind of pet hates. Also, I'm still getting asked very frequently about my measurements. Again, not in a weird way. It's pretty hard to mention the word measurements without sounding like a pervert, but not in a weird way. But anyway, yeah. So I thought I could address those questions and also just my general gripe with that irritating issue in this video. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say, guys. Now, to watch this, what I suggest you do is sit down on a stool, like quite a high stool, maybe like a bar stool, for example. Shave all of your legs, collect all of the hair you've shaved from your legs, super glue it to your face, so your face is literally completely covered in hair. Like if you've seen, I saw the Guinness Book of Records a few years ago, and there were a couple of boys who had like the record for like the hairiest bodies, like their faces were completely covered in hair. So try and achieve that look. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. What's going on, everybody? This is Mattdoesfitness, and my friend told me I don't understand irony, which is ironic because his name is Stephen. Now, I've made this video to talk about a topic which is somewhat of a niche, but I think it's something really important, and it really frustrates me. Now that is the whole kind of measuring body parts. That sounds a bit weird. Measuring specifically arms, chest, thigh, those kind of things, all right? And using that measurement as something to brag about or as a means of comparison. The reason I wanted to talk about this and the reason it irritates me and frustrates me is that, quite simply, if you have 2 guys and they both have the same amount of muscle mass, but one of them has more body fat or one of them carries more body fat on a particular body part, that person's obviously going to have a bigger measurement. That body part is going to be bigger than the other guy's because he has more body fat there. So for example, looking at your arms, if you have 2 guys who are, you know, similar strength, similar amount of muscle mass on their arms, but one of them deposits a lot of fat on their arms, the other one carries no fat at all on their arms, the guy with more fat is going to have bigger arms. But what does that mean? You know, that's irrelevant. It doesn't, you know, that shouldn't be something to talk about because obviously it's not a good thing, you know. I mean, if I use myself as an example, I don't ever measure my arms because I think it's meaningless, but knowing I was going to do this video, I measured my arms this morning and they were just over 18 inches, both of them, okay? Now, I carry no body fat on my arms at all, so I could go and find someone else who has a similar amount of muscle mass to me, but if he carries more body fat on his arms or he has more body fat in general, his arms are going to be bigger than mine, okay? But that obviously is irrelevant, it means nothing, okay? Right, to explain my point better, I'm going to give you an analogy. I love giving analogies. Right, it was Easter not too long ago, and I got a Malteser's Easter egg, alright? The box was freaking massive, it was like this big, alright? I was excited. I opened the box, and I encountered about, I don't know, like 10 inches of plastic, then a bit of card, and then an egg, right? So my box was this big, the egg was about this big, alright? I was pretty upset, to say the least. Now, a friend of mine gets a Mars Easter egg, right? His Easter egg box is this big. He opens the box, the egg is like there. It's literally touching the lid. That is a big egg. It is really maximising the space, right? So his box is that big, my box is that big, but his egg's there, my egg's down here, right? So I'm not going to go out and go, mate, you've got to see the size of my Easter egg, it's absolutely massive, this thing is like this big. I'm not going to say that because obviously his egg's bigger than mine. Yeah, he's got a smaller box than me, but the egg's bigger. The egg is the bit you want. I'm not going to eat my box. I'm not a big cardboard eating fan. So it's not something to be proud about. It's not something to boast about. It means nothing. Right, carrying on from this, and this is actually slightly ironic. You could lose body fat and lose size, but actually have the illusion of being bigger. Okay, so if you take a guy that's got 20-inch arms, for example, and let's say he's at like 20% body fat, and he goes on a big cut and he loses a fair few pounds of body fat, and his arms go from 20 inches down to 18 inches, right? He's obviously going to have lost a bit of muscle mass in this process, but assuming he's still lifting weights, his arms actually might look bigger, okay? If you lose body fat and your muscles are more visible and you become more, more ripped and more vascular, sometimes that gives the illusion of being bigger, okay? So you might have two guys, one of them actually has more muscle mass, but because the other guy, his muscle is more visible, he actually looks bigger, okay? So that's another reason why these measurements are just completely irrelevant. So, to summarise, this is a little bit of a rant, to be fair, I understand that, but it does annoy me. I mean, particularly recently I have a lot of people asking me how big are my arms, what size are my arms, and it's not, that in itself doesn't annoy me, but just the whole concept of people saying I've got bigger arms than you, my arms are 19 inches, your arms are 8 inches, I'm better than you, right? It means nothing, right? Unless you have the exact same amount of body fat in that particular area, comparing the size of your arms or your thighs or your chest or whatever means nothing, all right? It's a much better gauge to look at how much weight you can lift, all right, or how ripped you are, or whatever goal it is you are going for, right? If you happen to be competing in some kind of bizarre competition whereby having bigger arms is conducive to winning, then fair play to you, but I'm fairly sure those competitions don't exist, and if they do, they're going to be rubbish, right? So anyway, that's my rant over. I just wanted to get that out. I just wanted to say that I think it's interesting that a lot of people consider that to be, something to strive for, when actually it means very little. And like I said, sometimes you could have a guy that has smaller arms than another guy, but his arms look bigger because they are more muscular. And that's that. So, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, as always, and I will see you tomorrow.